Alright guys, gonna answer a couple questions here on the fencing. Um, Everything's high tensile except for I use this poly wire or poly rope. It's just a poly plastic rope that has, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it on there, there's stainless steel wires that go through it to carry a current. These are what I use for a gate. So I can just unhook them, drop them straight to the ground, and then drive over them. Unlike if you were to use regular wire, a lot of times regular wire has a memory and it'll coil up, and you try driving a piece of equipment over it, it gets caught on the equipment. So I just use this poly wire for my gates, and then on this end I just have it dead end on an insulator, so that way there's no current running through it while it's on the ground. And then here I have an underground wire that goes across to the other side. I am planning to change those, and I'm probably going to just get PVC like what I use for my risers. And then bolt them to the post here and go up like 14 foot in the air. And then I'm going to use this underground wire, I think. I might use high tensile wire, I'm not for sure. But then go up and over. That way I don't have to worry about if a gopher or something were to start chewing on this underneath the ground and start shorting out. I have had that happen. So I'm going to change that. But I only have two spots on this whole wire, the whole pasture, where it goes underground. One is right here, this gate, and then the other one is between that post and that post, for that lane going up the hill. And I'm going to do the same there. That one there doesn't have to be 14 feet in the air because equipment doesn't go under, just the gator does. So that's how I have this. I'm trying to get away from having any more gates than I have to. And this wire here is power that goes around the whole perimeter. So this comes all the way around, and then the very end of it is my cow lot, and then I can just walk right out of the barn from the fencer and then go right to the cow lot and test the fence right there, so I know that I'm at the end of the line. If I have good current there, all these other wires, like this one, it's a shorter run. This one here and this one are both hooked together, and they run along that side of the cornfield back along the pasture here to this point. So I can always come out here and test what these are. I can test this one, and this one will always be a little bit less voltage than that one because that's a shorter run than this one. But normally if I just test by the shed, and if I know it's putting out 8,000 volts there, these ones here are going to read at least 10,000 volts. So, and then another question I had was about this poly wire. You can see I have poly wire on these extension cord reels. These reels are cheap. Buy them at Fleet Farm. I don't know, $5, $10 a piece, whatever they are. And then this poly wire. See, this is a smaller stuff. I buy it in a 1,320 foot roll. This is a 6 braided. It's $30 a roll. And then that bigger stuff I have there is a 9 wire, and that stuff is like $50 or $60 a roll. But 1,320 feet, there's a lot of wire there. So I just have it on this extension cord reel. I think I have 8 or 10 of those total. And right now I just have that one on the ground. That one's not powered right now, being I'm doing hay and the cows are locked out there. I have another poly wire right up there that's keeping the cows locked out there. There's another one of these. I don't know if you can see it there. There's another extension cord reel right there. So when the cows went out, it makes it so they have to go out and make that left turn to those woods. And then once they go out and that clear cut back there, I'll just move that poly wire from there. I'll run it this way on this side, so it makes the lane go straight back to that clear cut. So yeah, there's a lot of different uses. And like right here, I don't even have a gate there. If I were to want to keep the cows out, I just run the poly wire across there. So these things are they're temporary, and they carry a really good current, and the cows respect it. I have another one of these. Well, actually, there's two more of them over on the other side that's protecting the trees, so the cows can't get to those trees right now until those trees get bigger. And then just these pigtail posts, you know, they're, I don't know, a couple dollars a piece. I have a couple of those junk PVC or fiberglass posts. I really don't care for them, but in this situation here where you need to hold that wire up in the middle, it comes in handy for that. And then here again, I just have this poly wire for a gate. And here, there's no wire underneath the ground. There used to be, but there's not anymore. Just because I wanted the end of my line right there for testing it, so there's no longer a jumper here. But then on the other ends of the poly wire, I order these handles here. I can't remember what fencing supply I ordered them from. I ordered like 20 of them. I think they were like 57 cents a piece or something. I don't think they were over $1 a piece, but I just have those on the ends. And you know, the poly wire, I mean, it's some of these reels I've had for 8 years now and I haven't changed the wire, but there's sometimes you have to change the wire. But normally this stuff seems pretty durable. And for anybody that doesn't know what this high tensile wire stuff is, you have a post wrap here, you put a piece of high tensile wire in there, you loop it, and then you put 2 crimps on it, then you have your tensioner spring, and then your tensioner, which is nice. You tighten them up in the spring, and then in the fall, when the cows are done on a pasture, you can loosen these up, and then it's not pulling on your corner posts when the ground gets soft. And of course, you know, if a deer or something run through it, I mean, that spring takes a lot of this, you know, a lot of the shock out of it. So, and I have a poly wire run right there because I just ditched that a little bit. So I got a poly wire there to keep the cows out where I ditched. I got to get some seed here to sprinkle in there. I want to get some sod growing. You know, get a sod in there before I let the cows go back in there. But this poly wire is really handy for sectioning off pieces where you don't want cows or where you do want cows. And like right here, this I just have here to keep the cows so they can't go up this way if they were to come in for water. And I just have it hooked on the horse fence. But with how I have it down loose like that, I can ride the gator up here, grab onto this, lift it up and over the gator, drive under it, and then continue on. And then Jay asked about the risers. I'll show you this riser up here quick. Normally, like in the pasture back there when I no-tilled some alfalfa and stuff into it here a couple weeks ago, I just unhook the wires. I use these pin lock insulators, which I'll show you. You just pull the pin out, pull the wire out, drop it down to the ground and drive over it. And then to move the cows around, normally the cows would not go through a perimeter fence, so I have 2 strands. But anywhere where the cows move around a lot, I just, like here, there's just 1 strand. So we're in a lane right now coming up here. And normally what I would do, I would go so far and I'd run poly wire across to the outside fence and give them a section and then set it all, you know, set up different paddocks and move them more frequently. But here's the pin lock. Pull the pin out, pull the wire out, put the wire up here on the PVC. Now that's about 8 feet in the air. Cows can walk underneath it. And, you know, at first the calves, the first couple times they'll kind of balk when they get up here and they'll look at it and they're like, yeah, right, we're not going underneath that. Well, once their milk fountain is out here and they're still on this side, it doesn't take them long to go underneath it. And a couple times go underneath that wire and it's really not an issue anymore. So cows don't think nothing of it. If the cows are back here and I go move this riser to a different spot, and the cows don't see me do it, when they come back out here, they look for this riser to know where to go. So if it were up the hill, you know, if it were right here right now, and then this afternoon I move it up here while the cows are in the shower, when they come back out, they'll look for the riser. They'll walk right past here where they just come out of earlier, you know, and go the other way. So they get to know that. So, and then on the riser, and when you're done, just put that back in there, put the pin back in. And this riser, I just have a bolt through it, so it can only go down so far. On the T-post, that holds it up, and then I just have a notch cut to hold the wire. So that's all that the riser is. Nothing special, but that PVC apparently is an insulator because it doesn't lose any voltage. So yeah, that's kind of what how the fencing goes. But I have the whole perimeter has no breaks in it until it gets back to that gate to get into these fields. And then you can see right here, this wire isn't underground. It was mounted here, but somebody caught it and ripped it out. I just had it inside this PEX tubing to kind of protect it. But this one I'm going to go up and over too, and this one's only got to be about 8 feet high. Just the gator has to get underneath it. So that's kind of what's going to happen here. I'm going to get some more PVC, but I'm going to get some 10-foot sticks and screw them to these posts and go up and over. And then I won't have, so this, it's just this one and the one over there. Once I get those up and over, there will be no more wire underneath the ground. And I have had them, like I say, I've had a gopher or something chew on one and it started shorting out. And I was trying to find a short for the longest time. Well, I ended up unhooking that underground wire one day because I'd walked around this, I don't know how many times. I unhooked that underground wire, full power. You know, I dug the wire up and sure enough, something ate through it. So, and I need to get on my, mowing my fence lines and stuff, but you can see here, that fencer's killing the weeds that are touching it, but this looks bad, it needs to be mowed. The wife mowed her horse pasture yesterday, so I need to get on working on my fence lines here, but there's been so much going on that I haven't got to it yet. We've got wild parsnip growing everywhere. I started spraying that the other day because that's growing in the ditches and I really don't want it in my fields. So we got cornrows. I need to get some fertilizer ordered for this stuff too. But I need to get my hay done. And this afternoon, this morning I'm going to go empty the sprayer out in the other cornfield. And then I got to get the drill hooked up. I got to go custom plant that 20 acres of new seeding for the neighbor. Get that done today. So I can get the 6400 hooked up to the baler and get the baler all ready to roll. So, but yeah, that's what I have for my fencing and some of the uses for that poly wire. And normally when I set up the poly wire in a reel, I pick my widest field, like that one there. I'll go to the widest part of it, I'll hook it to the fence, and I'll pull it all the way across, and give me some extra, you know, some extra slack, and then I'll roll it up on a poly wire, and that way I know it'll reach across each one of my pastures or fields or whatever. That way I can section off whatever at whatever time with this poly wire. Like these pigtail posts here, I don't know, I've got probably 50, 60 of them. One of these days when I see them on sale again, I'm probably gonna go pick up another 40, 50 of them. They're handy to have. But, so yeah, I have it. It's nice to have everything fenced. Use this poly wire, you can put the cows wherever. You know, like, technically I could run it along this water run, and I could have the cows graze off that water run now, you know. I'm probably not going to, but there's always that option with this poly wire. And instead of having a fence somewhere in here to take up space, I just run this poly wire to get the cows over here when I need them over here, and then when I'm done, once I go back up on the hill or somewhere else, roll this stuff up quick. There's nothing in the way. So yeah, it's pretty handy stuff, and really it's not expensive. Like I say, for the 6-wire stuff is $30 a roll, and for the 9-wire stuff is $50 or $60 a roll. High tensile wire is $90 for 4,000 foot roll. Basically spring and tensioner together is $9–10 a pair. Those post wraps, they're they're about $1 a piece. And these crimps, these wire crimps, I don't know, you get a box of 100 for, I don't know, $5 or something like that. So it's not expensive. And then I have a spinning Jenny here with a roll of wire on it. This is a new roll I just bought the other day. I just mounted on this trailer that I have that I don't use for anything else, so it's always ready to go. And then all you need is a lineman's tool for cutting the wire, because you can't cut that with a regular wire cutter. And then just a crimp tool for making those crimps. And then just there's a tool for tightening these tensioners. So I think that spinning Jenny was $30–40. Crimp tools $20–30. Lineman's pliers like $10. There's not a lot of money into it. Most expensive part is the T-post and the corner post. But so yeah, that's a little, hopefully I answered some questions on the wire. I know some guys that asked about that polywire in the past. How in the world does polywire keep anything in? But if you look at, there's stainless steel strands inside there that carry the current. So that's what the polywire is. So, and then I just, like right here, just gate handles on the end. So yeah, any more questions, feel free to ask. I'll answer them. Thanks, guys.